If men themselves don't unalive us, then our resentment towards them and the way they treat us will, which is another reason why we have got to leave these men. I'm on a bike ride in the French countryside. I thought I'd show you some stuff as I talk about feminism. Farmer house. I don't necessarily blame my grandma because she couldn't leave. My grandpa, he would not give her a divorce. So yeah, she was a bitter woman, which is why she was so mean to us. By the way, y'all, this is the house that I just passed by. Look at that. Look at that, and there's chickens in the front yard. You know what we can learn from our grandmothers and our mothers and just about any woman who gets screwed over by men and patriarchy, which is all of us, right? Is that resentment will kill us, yes. But I have learned to use resentment as a way to inform me that I need to do something. Because so I am like chronically codependent, not just because I believe patriarchy has kind of brainwashed all of us into being like codependent with men in general, right? Got a thermometer up their butt all the time. Everything's about how's everyone doing? How's everybody okay? Are you okay? Meanwhile, we are like drowning in responsibility and stress and don't even know how we feel. Can't even take care of ourselves as well as we could if we weren't so bogged down by worrying about everybody. But also just in my family system, it was normalized to worship the king baby and, throw anyone under the bus, including yourself or the other women in your family under the bus to serve the ego of the king baby, right? I learned it honest. But what I realized is that my resentments are a call to action. Sometimes because of like trauma and other stuff, my resentments are actually based in what someone else has done. I have to be really careful with that because I take it out on my husband all the time. Or not all the time, I stop myself, but I want to take it out on him all the time. And whenever I don't go to my mentor or my best friend or just someone who will hold me accountable, I end up saying some stuff I really, really regret. So the only way I prevent myself from sabotaging or blowing up my marriage is by keeping my resentments in check, my trauma responses in check, and doing everything I can to get to what is the root of this problem. But whenever that resentment is based on something that is not from my past, but is in my present, then that is a call to action. And one of the things that I have been taught as a codependent, but especially as a white woman, and I'm just going to say this because I do think that this is tied together with patriarchy and all these systems of oppression, right? Instead of like doing something, we just eat a bunch of shit, take a beating, whether it's physical or any other way, from King Baby, and then we continue that cycle of violence with anyone we have power over. Whether that's our children, any of our coworkers, or anyone that works for us, as a white woman, anybody that I have power over because of whiteness, because in this system of capitalism, white supremacy, patriarchy, they're all tied together, right? So anyway, if I don't keep my resentments in check and really do everything I can to end the cycle of violence, me being on the receiving end of this cycle of violence, I am going to actually cause harm. I'm going to screw over people I love. I'm going to screw over people who have nothing to do with my resentments. It's going to cause a lot of harm, again, especially as a white woman, because of me being white, I was born into an enormous amount of privilege and have an enormous amount of power. And I don't want to do what my ancestors did, which is use that power for awful things, to torture people, particularly Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, but especially the Black community. Now, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, then stick around. Anytime I talk about feminism, there's always someone in the comments being like, what does race have to do with it? It has everything to do with it. And I know this because I have a history degree. And that's one of the things I realized is like, man, one of the most important things that I need to do is free myself. Because if I won't do that, then I'm going to continue to live with this resentment. And anybody I have power over is going to pay the price. So when I'm resentful about something and it's in my current situation, that means I need to do something. So my husband does stuff sometimes. He's not perfect. I'm not perfect. He calls me on my stuff, does it in a really thoughtful way. The problem is I'm not used to calling people on their stuff. I've been taught to just, shut up, bite my tongue, be passive aggressive, smile, it's okay, hey. And that's my Southern white woman syndrome, hey. But behind that, hey, yeah, is an unbelievable amount of rage. And that rage is based on resentment and being pissed about my lot in life. Now, again, unlike my grandmothers and great-grandmothers and everyone before, a lot of them were legitimately trapped by the law, trapped by an economic system that favors men, trapped by all of these systems that are literally built into government and everything, right? Religion, right? The shame of leaving a man who's abusing you. What the hell? So I see it, and that's one of the reasons why I have do this work, is I have been victimized by so many men. And before I started really healing, I felt stuck in that victimization, and I hated all men, though I gave terrible ones the benefit of the doubt in general. But I was just full of anger, but I couldn't even admit that I was mad. I could never admit I even had anger. Because again, women are really not supposed to be mad. Race plays into that even more, right? Like, as a white woman, I'm allowed to be mad at certain people. Hence what I was talking about before. Not allowed to be mad at King Baby. No. I'm just supposed to be like, cool, that's okay, it's fine. Every time I do that, pretend like things are fine. Pretend like it's okay. Pretend like something doesn't really bother me. Like I'm not mad at something that I should legitimately be upset about. Every time I do that, I lose respect for myself. And I buy more into the victim narrative. I have every reason in the world to hate men. Every reason. Men, since I was a child who were supposed to love and protect me, were actually the biggest dangers to me, the biggest predators. And then you have all the strangers, and then all the men I've dated, and then the one who tried to unalive me, and then the ones who stalked me, and then all the ones who crawled into bed with me while I was asleep. Like y'all, if I even gave you the whole list, it would take me over a minute to list them all. I have legit reason to hate men. But that hate in my heart, can't live with it. I'm allowed to be mad, but I can't live with the hate. And so my resentments inform me on either what trauma I need to continue to heal from my past or what actions I need to take in my present to get me out of victim narrative, which paralyzes me and lets me blame everyone for all my problems, and instead empowers me to do things I didn't even think I could do. Stand up for myself, to stand up to men, to decenter men in general, which has been one of the most liberating things I've ever done in my life. And to give the very few men who are actually really good to me a chance, which is one reason why I ended up marrying my husband. This man has helped me heal so much trauma because he's a safe person. And he teaches me a lot about things that I need help with. And I teach him a lot of things about that he needs help with. We make each other better. But if I hadn't dealt with my resentments from my past, I would have blown this relationship up as soon as it started. Because leaving a dude who's terrible to you is just the beginning. Not taking that hurt and pain, I have a hair in my mouth. Not taking that out on every man after that, that's the next level of this messed up video game called healing. And it's so hard. But the rewards, it's so worth it.